Hello, I'm Jordan Vanderham, an engineer.
And I'm Jared Seifert, an industrial designer, and we are Orindi, a for-profit company focused on a value-positive impact.
The video we're going to show is alarming, but it's a way that we use to convey our problem. This is what the American Asthma Foundation uses to convey the pain, the fear, and the emotions of having an asthmatic attack. This is the reason why I'm here today, because when I was young, I suffered from cold-induced asthma. You see, when I was young and going outside and play with my friends, no matter how much I bundled up like a little snowball, I would still breathe in that cold air and cough until I couldn't breathe. I had to go inside, and my snow day was shot. Growing up in Michigan, we love the outdoors, but being in the cold is miserable. Regardless of what you wear, halfway through the day, your scarf is wet, dripping with condensation from your breath. We're breathing in cold air that chills our lungs and makes us cough. My nose is runny, and my glasses are all fogged up.
I know exactly what you mean. Being a distance-sponsored skateboarder, I used to train as soon as the snow would clear the pavement. But once I'd start pushing myself, I'd breathe in that cold air, and it would chill my lungs, cause a sharp pain in my chest, and it would limit my ability to train.
Now we're two very different people, but we experience the same problem. And that problem is breathing cold air. You see, when you inhale cold air, your body has to impact energy onto it to heat it up and rehumidify it. But inevitably, all that presses heat, energy, and water is lost when you exhale. This can trigger an asthmatic attack, dehydration, hypothermia, and energy loss. Our advisor, Jalen Fields from the CDC, shared that when you're in a cold environment, there's this line between your mouth and lungs called the isothermic saturation boundary. And when you inhale that cold air and it passes that line, you cough, get tight-chested, and trigger lung spasms, which are just like an asthmatic attack, but it can happen to both you and me. In fact, emergency wards double their pulmonary centers to deal with this problem each winter. This is a serious issue. We have created the patent-pending Orindi mask to allow you to breathe warm, comfortable air in the coldest of environments, to alleviate the burden on these hospitals and the individuals suffering from breathing in the cold. The way that we're able to allow you to breathe regulated air is with these features, and it works just like this. When you exhale that warm, humid air, our mask can capture that heat and humidity and eject out cold air. So then when you turn around and breathe back in, that cold environmental air is then warmed up and rehumidified, putting your lungs in a more comfortable breathing environment. I'm sure you've felt some of these issues in the cold, working or playing, runny nose, pain in your chest, a cough, foggy glasses. The Orindi mask is here to solve these issues. We are patent pending with claims focusing on temperature regulation, humidity regulation, as well as our passive speaking membrane, which allows you to communicate easier.
Now, being a designer, I knew we needed to take this at a human-centered design approach. So then that's why we worked hand in hand with our customers to design the best product for them. This product came from a quick napkin sketch to what you see today, through hundreds of prototypes, iterations, and critiques.
We are not a medical tech transfer device. We are a grassroots startup where we had to teach ourselves how to make silicone molds with 3D printed parts. We sewed up balaclavas in my parents' basement just so we could have something to fit the mask. We picked and prodded apart 3D printed parts because we couldn't afford tooling. And we painstakingly assembled these masks so we had something to show of and to put to work. And we put it to work, we did. We swept floors in giant freezers, we shoveled our parents' driveways, and we went skiing and snowboarding. The mask worked flawlessly. But we knew that someone else had to validate it and use it for us. So, like aspirational entrepreneurs, we got published in our local newspaper. And luckily, a company called Willow Cold Storage found us, where they have workers in a negative 20-degree freezer, spending 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. This was an impeccable opportunity for us to push our mask to the limits in this extreme environment. And it performed flawlessly. They made our mask mandatory in their deep freezers because it improves the safety for the workers and their mental acuity. They came back to and shared with us that the Orindi mask is a tool that they use to retain employees, to reduce their employee turnover, as well as onboard employees so the environment is less extreme. After this success, they talked with 14 other cold storage companies and created an immediate demand for our mask. They then purchased 8 more of our masks so that they could have more happier, healthier, and productive workers. As an engineer, this was an awesome opportunity for us to validate our mask in an extreme environment. And with that success, we know that it will work in any other cold environment.
With the great validation that we had in the industrial segment, we wanted to continue the refinement of the Orindi mask. So we had 2 cross-country skiers go up to the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, where temperatures range from -5 to 0 degrees. They said that our mask was able to push them further, set up for camp, sleep, and wake up refreshed the next day.
To continue refining our mask, we wanted to find a place that resembled those deep freezers. Salt Lake City, Utah it was. We talked to their police department, fire department, and search and rescue. They were excited to use our mask to help a patient in a hypothermic state, to help them get out of a life or death situation. The workers in the search and rescue industry were excited to use this mask to help themselves push harder and longer, so they didn't have to give up at the end of the night. They could continue searching. So initially we thought our mask would only help people with asthma. But through these serendipitous market discoveries, we now know that the asthma, sports, industrial, and public service segment is where we can make a huge positive difference. This is our overall segment, but we're initially focusing on the asthmatic segment because we know that this is where we can make the greatest difference, specifically focusing on the youth asthma, as this is the only audience that doesn't understand what the cold does to their bodies. My parents were terrified when I went outside in the cold. All they wanted was the best for me. And we know kids don't like to put things on their head or face, so we're making the Orindi mask fun, colorful, and exciting so they can put it on, power up, and go outside and be a normal kid. Parents are grateful that there's finally a company working on something to make their kids be kids. They shared that as soon as our mask is available, they will immediately purchase our mask. Now, current solutions try to simply put a piece of cloth in front of your mouth, but this collects freezing water and causes frostbite. When all other solutions fall short, some turn towards medication to treat the symptoms and not the problem. We're the only mask that regulates both the temperature and humidity, providing us with a key sustainable competitive advantage. Jared and I have been working for the past 1.5 years to develop the Orindi mask. And in the next 1 month, we'll be graduating from college, and I'll be going full-time into Orindi, being mentored by an experienced CEO that has commercialized medical and sports products. We've aligned ourselves with our local asthma association as they know the individuals that need the Orindi mask and can't afford it. This will be a channel for us to give back to the community. We've been working with Marcus Lemonis, Damon John, and their organizations to send our masks through their distribution channels, as well as produce the textile components for the Orindi mask. Initially, we're focusing on the cold weather industrial segment, our early adopters and these innovators. These are the guys that helped us take the mask to where it is today. Willow Cold Storage and those 14 companies created a demand for 500 units. This will allow us to prove out our manufacturing production so we can go from basement production to an assembly line, so that we can then work on our early majority with the 17,000 individuals with the youth asthma segment. We'll be able to find these individuals through the American Asthma Foundation, schools, and asthmatic support groups. We'll then continue to expand and move into the medical, sports, industrial, and public sector. Unlike any other team here, we have orders in hand. 1 from the industrial segment, 2 from Marcus Lemonis for 10,000 units, where he wants to put our mask on the end cap of his stores in Gander Mountain. And 3, CVS Health has committed to sell our mask in their stores as soon as it is available for commercialization.
What really matters is their value-positive impact. For every 2 masks sold, we will give 1 back to the asthmatic segment.
To the people that can't afford our mask, the people that really deserve it the most. Moving forward, Orindi will be in full production. We'll be able to fulfill masks to the asthmatic, the industrial, the medical, and the public service segment. With the $25,000 from TCU, we'll be able to execute on these orders that we have in hand. Because simply for those 500 units, it'll take us 5,000 hours to make those masks, and that is not scalable. With the tooling and the manufacturing equipment, we'll be able to produce each mask in 15 minutes. We'll also be able to outsource our textile production outside of my parents' basement so that we can have a higher quality and better aesthetics production. All of this will allow us to have a higher efficiency and higher quality product and allow us to execute on future demands moving forward. Now, to date, we've validated our Orindi mask in multiple segments. We've created a product that's ready for commercialization, and we've aligned ourselves with manufacturers, distributors. We are Orindi, enabling you to breathe warm, comfortable air in the coldest of environments.
Can we see the mask?
Yes.
Of course.
Do we each get one? Oh my God.
That was a really interesting presentation, very good story of how you developed it.
Thank you.
And how you've gone about making it. Another place you can use this is in exploration, like Arctic and Antarctic exploration. There's a lot of research in both of those places.
For those scientists that
For
aren't
the
used
scientists
to,
and the military and things that are also stationed in both those areas.
that'd be a
As
huge
a
opportunity.
possible thing.
Yeah.
One other question I had for you all, in your business plan, you said that you sort of had two varieties. You looked like you had a residential one and an industrial one, and there was a price differential between those. Is that because they have different qualities? Why is that?
Yeah, so we'll have a parallel path with the industrial and the medical segment for the asthmatic individuals. And there is a price difference because the employers are able to purchase this mask, and we have a higher antibacterial resistance in the industrial segment because these guys are using this mask for 10 hours a day, every single day. And for the asthmatic segment, kids are smaller, the product is smaller, and we want this more accessible to them.
You guys, have y'all, it was a great presentation, by the way. Have you heard of the Silicon Valley Innovation Program for Homeland?
No, we have not.
Something, Google it. They do very specific solicitations, but this would be something that they probably would enjoy testing out in the field. And that program, and just for anybody in the room, that program affords the opportunity for an early stage startup, which, by the way, thank you for mentioning you're not a tech transfer, because that was helpful probably for all of us. And they will incubate the program and assign Homeland Security employees to actually work with you and incubate it and design it along with you. So it might be something interesting.
We'll call them on Monday.
Yeah, do it. We have a general number.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the mask is, the bigger version is pretty heavy. Is there a way that you can still have the antimicrobial plastic and make a lighter version of the big one?
Yeah, so these are 3D printed and more of a prototype.
Ah,
We
okay.
have people wearing these in the freezers right now.
Okay.
They haven't complained about the weight of the mask, but there is some heft to it. That's part of the regulation unit that we do need some of that technology.
I think you gave a great presentation, really well done. Bravo. And I love the process that you went through to get to where you are now. You know, homemade, it was very high touch, and I actually think that high touch in the beginning has you really understanding the problem and what you're trying to solve before you turn it over to manufacturing. The more intensely involved you are in that, the better information you can give to factories so that they get it right. So it's amazing how much they can get it wrong. So I just want to commend you on that, especially because I'm married to an asthmatic who had to go to the emergency room after skiing in Colorado, and literally he was gray,
Yeah.
and he lost his inhaler. It fell out of his snowboarding jacket. So anyway, I've seen it, I believe in it, it's great.
Thank you.
I really don't have any questions, I'm really impressed, so good job.
Thank you.
You know, I also want to echo what Ingrid said. I think you guys did a great job, and you're solving a huge need, I think, and you know, having had a previous life in the emergency room dealing with asthmatics. You laid out the issues they deal with. This is a very specific, focused area of asthma
Yeah.
that not a lot of people pay attention to because the answer is always just go inside.
Seclude yourself.
So I think, your ability to relate to it through your growing up is a meaningful piece. And I was just curious, where do you see competition coming into this?
Yeah, so there's some competitors, and you can just pull up that slide. They really do fall short in terms of actually giving you warm
Yeah.
air.
Yeah, I'm not even considering those real competitors
Okay,
because
yeah.
they haven't solved the problem. So are you aware of any other things going on?
In the next year to year and a half, we might see some competitors come along, or other companies trying to adopt this, but we hope that our intellectual property has us protected in the development that we've done, or make it easy enough for a larger company to purchase us or license our technology.
And I realize the issue now is you've got orders ahead of the ability to scale, right?
Yeah.
So, but when you can scale, have you thought about your marketing strategy expanding to social media and web-based sales, or just only through retail?
We'll probably open into a web-based sales because families don't typically purchase all of the items through the asthma associations. So to make it more tangible for anyone to purchase the mask.
Yeah, I would assume you want kind of the both sides. You want to make
Yeah.
it into more of a sports apparel as well as asthma, medical, yeah,
Yeah.
like what I'm doing. But great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, terrific job. I mean, you identified a need from a personal place, which is always, I find, the best way to go, right? So many people have started companies because they were sometimes a little mercenary. There's a hole in the market, and I'm going to fill it. And then there are people who start something because they saw something that was missing that was going to make their life better. And usually, at least in my experience, that's a pure place to start. And I like to always say you can't outsource soul, right? So to come at it from that perspective, I think is really great. One of the things that struck me, I'm obsessed with design. That's kind of a big thing for me. And it's a little bulky, but this is maybe not even Gen 1. This may be still like point 1, right? You're 3D printing the shell. It looks like your hand winding copper.
Yeah.
It's really amazing that's the way you're doing it. So just like Ingrid said, I mean, I applaud you. Like starting in the basement or the garage, that's where the magic happens, right?
Yeah.
So from a personal need, so big thumbs up on that. It does seem like there's this dual life to this thing, right? There's this industrial application, there's a sports outdoor application, there are probably military applications. I mean, anyone who has to live outdoors, it just seems like you could take this incredible stance from a branding perspective as being like the experts at how to live in the cold,
Yeah.
and how to breathe in the cold. And that's like a higher kind of calling in a sense, and I think might give you the ability to extend into lots of stuff.
Okay.
You're an expert. Being an expert is a very unique position, right? And this is, to me, a market that hasn't been defined yet. No one's even put their arms around this, to Dr. Williams' point of, these guys aren't really even competition because they're not solving for anything.
Yeah.
A scarf isn't solving for squat, right? And I love the comment, well, the fix was just go inside. Well, that's not really a fix. What if you're in the military?
Yeah.
That's not an option for you. Oh, I just want to stay safe and warm. I'm going to go inside. Yeah, okay, that works really well. So anyway, I'll stop rambling, but great job. There's something really cool here, and I think if there's a way to own this notion of being an expert and aligning yourself with these third parties that give you that and let you own that, then it's game on. And then there are lots of ideas to license this. And by the way, if you need help with retail or other brand holders in entertainment, we'll talk after.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And then I just have one more comment. To what Craig just said, I love what he just said about breathing in the cold. I wonder if you could just elevate that even further and think about just breathing. And because there are people who deal with allergies, so it's not just necessarily cold weather, and allergies and asthmatics tend to go together.
Yeah.
So I would broaden your horizon and think about just breathing.
Just think about someone who had the idea of putting tape across the bridge of your nose, right? And that became a huge
Yeah.
industry and brand just around, the Breathe Right strip is a piece of tape that goes over the bridge of your nose, right? So the bar is pretty low, not to denigrate that. It's just, you could do something much, You got a long, long road up. That's great.
With that, we need to wrap up. Please join me in thanking the team.
Thank you.